Welcome to all new episode all around. Your host Cardell Dudley, and as you can see, uh, very hard fought, memorable, memorable game today as George Mason, thanks to some late game heroics from Jared Billups in double overtime in the clutch. He took over late. I'll touch on that in detail. George Mason defeats George Washington in double overtime, 80-77. Um, Jalen Haynes led George Mason with 17 points and 8 rebounds. Darius Maddox added 17 points and 6 rebounds. Katie Johnson, who was huge down the stretch, getting to the free throw line, added 15 points and 5 rebounds. And Jared Billups, 8 points, game high 16 rebounds and 3 steals. Christian Jones, redshirt freshman point guard, led the way for GW with 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Darren Buchanan Jr. in the second game back from injury look more like Darren Buchanan Jr. Added 15 points, 8 rebounds, and Trey Autry, who's been playing outstanding the last month or so, added 15 points and 6 rebounds. Listen, man, this is what the A10 should look like, especially when GW and George Mason play. This is how it should be. This is exactly how it should be, and when they battle one another, regardless of it's at the Smith Center or Eagle Bank. This is games like this need to be hard fought, full of coaches, staffs with local ties, and a bunch of players with local ties as well. And it's more than just a conference game. It's bragging rights as well. You know what I mean? To determine who's the better program. But with that being said, man, look, in the first half. It looked like George Mason, had the rhythm. They came out first, hit first. They had a nice little rhythm, led 13-9. Actually got it up to, I believe, 17-9. And it looked like they were in control. I think Darius Maddox had about 8 of the 17 of George Mason's first 17 points. And they had a rhythm, man. They was getting to their spots. And meanwhile, George Mason, for those that don't know, has the 13th ranked defense in the entire college basketball, number one in the A10 as well. But they had overall in all of college basketball, it was 350 Division I teams. They're ranked 13th defensively. They swarm, and they get after you. And anytime you turn the corner, you're going to have to face 2 or 3 defenders. So, it's not an easy win to try to make plays or score against George Mason. But George Washington found a way. And coming into the game, having watched George Washington all season, the key to kind of spread George Mason out to have gaps to get into to make plays, you got to be able to shoot the ball and preferably be able to shoot the three. And George Washington has quite a few 3-point shooters that if they get hot, they can seize momentum for the Revolutionaries. And they that's what they started to do. They started to hit a couple threes. Hanson, Christian Jones. Then that kind of opened opened the lanes a little bit. And then you saw Darren Buchanan get in there, Trey Autry get in there, Rafael Castro finishing, Drum pitching in. So it was by committee. And George Washington in the first half managed to come back after being down, I believe, 17-9, come back and on a 17-2 run over a 5-10 span to take the lead. And they really didn't look back. GW scored 11 points off of 8 George Mason turnovers in the first half. They also had, I remember I said Darius Maddox with George Mason had 8 points early. He had 8 of George Mason's 17 points, but he didn't score in the last 14:34 of the first half. So GW keyed in on him, held him scoreless for the remaining 14:34 of the first half, and that allowed George Washington, along with their offense, heating up, and the shooting heating up, the defense stopping. George Mason, one of their top scorers, it allowed them to create a gap. But also Trey Autry and Sean Hanson, like I said, they were vital. Autry posted 9 points on 2 of 5 from deep in the first half, and Hanson, he was scoring from all 3 levels. Hit a 3, mid range, went to the block, free throw, 7 points in the first half. Christian Jones, they couldn't keep him out the paint, and that was, like I said, a byproduct of the fact that George Mason was aware that they could stretch the floor, they could hit threes. So guys were kind of hesitant to help, whereas with other games and other teams, no hesitation. I'm gonna crowd the paint. And Christian Jones is a crafty guard, especially to be so young. He lived in the paint. He had 6 points, or he was finding guys, and even if it wasn't his direct assist, it was the hockey assist. You know what I mean? So it led to an assist. So he was making the right read, and Darren Buchanan Jr. He had the 6 points, and which was a big boost for them off the bench. So at the halftime, George Washington led 35-29. Also GW from the free throw line, they shot 83%, 5 of 6 from the line in the first half. George Mason shot 56% from the line, 9 of 16. So if George Mason made their free throws, tie game basically. You know what I mean? So that was interesting. As the second half came in. The second half came out, it was just a back and forth affair, man. Neither team wanted to win. The game was tied at 58 with 4-3 left in the game, thanks to Jalen Haynes, who was carrying the offensive load for George Mason. He came alive in the second half. I think he had 10 of his. Give me 1 second. Yes, he had 10 of his 17 points in the second half. He really got going. And he was huge. He kind of helped George Mason control the game and slow the game down. And he had to draw doubles, and he was finishing the side, getting a bunch of and ones, and he put a lot of fouls on George Washington's front court, preferably Rafael Castro. So Jerry Billis had a layup with about 3:13 left in the game, and George Mason held a 60-58 lead with 3:13 left. But Haynes fouled out with 1:42 left after that. It was pretty much that lead was that score maintained until 1:42 left, and Haynes fouled out. GW had a chance to win it with 1.9 left, but Rafael Castro missed both free throws, forcing the overtime. And overtime, again, back and forth, man. Like, neither team wanting to win. It was a stalemate, obviously, as second overtime was forced, man. Overtime looked like George Washington came out with a little momentum, looked like they were about to kind of pull away, and then George Mason battled back. It was a defensive battle. In the first overtime, it was Christian Jones coming alive again, man, and he had he's a crafty guard, dangerous in pick and roll situations, where if you got it like Hansen that can pop out, or Rafael Castro that can roll, he can make both reads and make the pass. Or if the defender's not committed to either one, then he can go in there and make the layup. And he's a capable 3-point shooter as well, capable mid-range shooter. He has a lot of tools in the bag, man, and he's very, very tough to contain. But it was just a battle. Neither team could kind of separate in the end with an 8-8 tie in the first overtime to force a double overtime. When the double overtime with Jalen Haynes fouled out, more people started to foul out on both sides. KD Johnson fouled out on George Mason as well. Drumgoole fouled out on GW as well as Castro. So pretty much one of their best shooters and scorers, Drumgoole, grad transfer, and Rafael Castro, their most athletic big, fouled out. So you know what that meant? Attack. And that's what they did. Braden O'Connor, Darius Maddox, they attacked, and also Big. Gotta give Big some love, man. He made some good reads in overtime, like stealing the ball and then throwing it out of head on a dime in traffic to Gio Medru. I hope I don't butcher his name. Medru, and he dunked it home, and that was a big dunk. That was a momentum shifter right there. But naturally, it came down to the last, say, about 1:30 of the game. It was a close game, and Mr. Billups, Jerry Billups, he woke up, and I'm going to play what he did. He was outstanding in double overtime. He had the clutch free throws, clutch offensive putback right here off the Darius Maddox miss. He had a key rebound when it looked like George Washington had a couple cracks at it. Then Christian Jones missed the reverse. Trey Autry tried to come in there and get a quick tip in. And then Jared Billups came out of nowhere and grabbed the rebound. They fouled him. As you can see right here, the reverse. Trey Autry, Ja'Cory Hutchinson, my fault, with the try to game with the tip. He didn't get enough on it. Then Jared Billups in traffic grabbed the rebound and was fouled. He goes to the free throw line with Mason up 78-77. When they put a little bit more time on the clock, 2.3 seconds left in double overtime, and Jared Billups hits both free throws to put him up 80-77. So you would think all they need is a stop. And again, Mr. Billups, their best defender, their best on-ball defender. Caputo calls a timeout to get it to half court, so they don't have to go to the length of the court in a couple seconds. And Jared Billups comes in, saves the day, gets the key steal to win the game. So, he was amazing down the stretch, man. Flat out amazing, man. Just to have that focus and to contribute in so many areas, the steal, the rebounds, lay-ins, clutch free throws. Man, he's just a winner player, and that's why he's so loved by everybody in George Mason. With the staff, from the staff to the players, man. I know people like the box score watch a lot, and they may see sometimes he doesn't score a lot, but his impact is ridiculous because of his defense and his intangibles and how he impacts the game with the little things. And those little things add up to big things in big games, as you can see, against good teams like GW and whatnot. And that's the reason why Mason was able to walk off with a big double overtime win, man. Bottom line. I'm just going to go down. I'm going to wrap up in a little bit, but I'm just going to go down and talk about some other players that ain't had a chance to kind of get in depth about. Kind of wanted to give a rundown of what happened throughout the game. Braden O'Connor was very solid. Almost won the game in overtime, but the ball released just in the first overtime, but ball was still in his hand a little bit past when the buzzer went off, man. But he was very solid, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 for 9. Did well defensively on the other end as well. Just another big guard, man, that George Washington had to try to match up with. He had his moments. Jalen Haynes, like I said, man, he fouled out in regulation, but he was giving them some problems. He was giving GW some problems inside with his craftiness. He's a tough matchup. You put an athletic big on him, he's gonna just bang him. He's a big body. You know what I mean? And then if you put a big body big on him, he's agile. He's shifty. Got a lot of moves. Good footwork. Got a lot of moves off the bounce. So he's gonna beat him off his quickness. So he always has an advantage for the most part against a lot of bigs, man. And that's why he's been so productive this year. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 7 to 15. Needed every bit of it. He came through. Darius Maddox, after the 14 minutes where they held him scoreless in the first half, man, it was good to see him kind of wake up and get back to it. 17 points with 6 of 15 shooting and 6 rebounds. He's their ace in the hole. He's the guy that they rely on to always put up 15, 16, 17 points a game. If you've been watching him all year, he's the guy that they need, for him to, where at the beginning of the game, you filling out the stat sheet, you can almost pencil in 15 plus points. You know what I mean? If he gets that, Mason's very hard to beat, especially if it's an efficient 15 plus points, but he had 17 tonight on 6 of 15. Could have been a little bit more efficient, 3 of 3 from the line, but hell, they won. So we ain't gonna nitpick. KD Johnson was huge. He was huge, man. He was huge just down stretch in overtime. He was relentless. He got to the free throw line, man. He had 10 free throw attempts. He was just relentless with his speed and quickness, just taking it coast to coast, getting in the lane, taking the contact. Sometimes he finished, sometimes he didn't, but regardless, he got the foul call. That slowed the game down. He got free points. He made 6 out of 10. I'm pretty sure Tony Skin would love for that percentage to go up. You know what I mean? Get that thing up to about 80 plus, if not make all of them. But regardless, man, he made enough to, win the game. And also with him getting to the free throw line, he's putting fouls on guys. I think he's the one that fouled out Castro, which was huge. And I believe Jerome Gould just attacking the basket. So that's two of GW's top players, man. Without them in the game, it was tough. It was tough for GW to try to find some points. I already talked about Billups, and like I said, Big, he only had 1 point, but I felt like he took the pressure off Braden and when KD needed a rest or whatnot, when it was in foul trouble, he took the pressure off them guys just running the team and making the right reads and getting the ball where it needed to be. So he did his job, man, and he held up pretty decent on defense. He didn't give up a lot. Otherwise, GW would have won. So, it was a total team effort on George Mason's part to pull it out. Like I said, on George Washington, Trey Autry's been playing outstanding lately. He did his thing. Christian Jones, man, growing up, he's playing. He's a redshirt freshman, but he plays with the poise of upperclassmen, like a junior or senior. Very confident. 16 points, very inefficient. 6 of 19. 1 of 4 from deep. 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He's capable of converting a few of those shots that he missed. I'm sure he wished he had a few back. Obviously, he make a couple more. It's a different ball game, but regardless, man, he's coming along, man. He's just going game by game, and he's going to be a problem later on as conference play comes to an end, and then the conference tournament is set to begin. Jerome Gould, I've seen him play better. 10 points, but 3 or 14, 0 of 10 from deep. Can't say he had a real good game. And fouled out. Like I said, George Mason defensively, they they make it hard on you. They make it tough on you, and you can see they keyed in on Jerome Gould. Did a good job of he's a volume 3-point shooter, pretty efficient. I think he makes like 35%. But regardless, they keyed in on him to make sure he didn't get on a heater, because when he gets on a heater, he could literally beat you. I've seen I think Dayton, he got on the heater and did his thing. So, he's capable of beating you, and they made sure that didn't happen with him. Hansen, he had 7 points at the half, only had 2 points for the rest of the game. So GW did, like I said, he had 4 fouls as well. So, George Mason did a great job on Hansen. Rafael Castro was very productive, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks as well. 4 of 8 from the line. The thing that hurt him hurt him and hurt GW the most, 4 of 10 from the free throw line. He had multiple chances to hit just a couple free throws, and GW wins. It would have put him up 3 or 4, and it made it hard for George Mason to come back and try to tie the game, man. But he didn't convert, and that left the door open. And obviously, George Mason seized the moment and pulled it out, man. So I'm sure he's kicking himself, man. But man, he's been very productive as well. I'm sure he'll bounce back. Darren Buchanan Jr., it was good to see him look like Darren Buchanan Jr. He's been out for a while. I know this first game back against Duquesne, he wasn't himself, had a bad game, and he bounced back looking like himself. 15 points, perfect from the field, 5 of 5, 2 of 2 from deep, 3 or 4 from the line, 8 rebounds. Probably should have been more aggressive getting shots up, but that'll come with time. They trying to, he's trying to get his legs back on him. Plus, he came off the bench as well. He didn't start, so I know that'll be short-lived, man. But all in all, man, hell of a game, hell of a game, hell of a game, hell of a game. And looking forward to the next one for sure, man. What I'm saying? With the win, George Mason has sole possession of first place in the A10 as of now. They're 5-1. I believe 14-5 on the season currently. Next game for Mason, I believe they take a trip to St. Bonaventure, play them this upcoming Tuesday. So it's going to be interesting to see, if they can keep it going, because that's the name of the game. Just win, baby. That's the name of the game at this point in time in the season. Talking to their assistant coach, Lewis Hannett, they said the goal is to win 20-plus games. They believe if they win 20-plus games, do well in the conference tournament, that can help their chances of getting an automatic bid in the NCAA tournament, man. You know, they want to be playing in the big show in the postseason, man. And they're well on their way, man. And if they keep putting wins together, not only will they get to the tournament, Tony Skeng, you know, as a head coach, will be bringing home a lot of, you know, season awards for coaches, you know, so to speak, man. So, including probably conference A10 Coach of the Year, because he's definitely in the running right now with the run that George Mason has been on with, man. So I appreciate all of you guys for joining me once again for another episode All Around. I'll have more to come soon. Again, Thriller and Eagle Bank, man. George Mason in double overtime defeats George Washington 80-77. Check in with y'all soon.